In a remote part of the Tibetan Plateau, surrounded by some of the world's tallest mountains and deepest gorges, China is planning to build the most complex dam ever. This super dam is set to be the biggest hydroelectric project we've ever seen. It could generate enough clean electricity to power the UK for an entire year. However, the site chosen is one of the most hard-to-reach gorges in Tibet. A project this massive could shift the power dynamics in South Asia if earthquakes don't interfere. We'll explore China's ambitious plan to build the world's most powerful dam. Dams in China. China loves engineering. For the past 70 years, they've set records in almost every industry, building more and bigger structures than most other countries. Hydropower is no exception. China has around 87,000 dams because, with a population of 1.4 billion people, water management is crucial. They've also redirected many major rivers to boost development. We have another video on that, but let's focus on their current project. China is planning a massive dam that makes their previous projects look small, even the Three Gorges Dam. There were even crazy plans to use a nuclear weapon to create the dam, but thankfully the government decided against it. This project has the most potential for hydropower on the planet, but it's also very challenging. Power generation in China. Before we look at how they might build this massive dam, let's understand why they're doing it. China needs a lot of electricity, twice as much as the USA and 8 times as much as Russia. Currently, most of China's electricity comes from burning coal, which is very dirty and produces a lot of emissions. Hydropower, on the other hand, is much cleaner. As China aims for net zero emissions and its electricity needs keep growing, it wants to use more renewable energy sources. So they're investing in solar panels, wind turbines, tidal power, and hydroelectric dams. Since the 1950s, China has built tens of thousands of dams, including the world's largest and most powerful hydroelectric facility, the Three Gorges Dam. The Tibetan Plateau. The Tibetan Plateau, averaging over 4,500 meters in altitude, towers above Asia, and is 5 times larger than France. This high altitude means it's full of glaciers and ice, earning it the nickname the Earth's third pole. As the ice melts, it feeds some of the biggest and most important rivers in the region, like the Indus, Ganges, Mekong, and Yarlung Tsangpo. The plateau provides so much water that it's also known as the Water Tower of Asia. For China, these rivers are crucial not only for renewable energy, but also for gaining geopolitical power over their downstream neighbors. We'll discuss that more later, but for now, the Yarlung Tsangpo River. Let's take a look at the river China is targeting for its new project, the Yarlung Tsangpo. Depending on the country it flows through, it's also known as the Xiang and the Brahmaputra. Because of its intense white water and waterfalls, many call it the Everest of rivers. For simplicity, we'll call it the Yarlung Tsangpo. The river starts at the Yangtze Glacier and flows over 1,000 kilometers east until it reaches Nansha Barwa Mountain. From there, it turns south, running through India and Bangladesh before emptying into the Indian Ocean. This river is remarkable. It's the highest major river in the world, and at almost 3,000 kilometers long, it's one of the longest. As far as we know, no one has traveled its entire length because the area is so remote. China plans to build its dam in the Yarlung Tsangpo Gorge, near the Indian border. This place is very isolated and was difficult for the British to map out. The gorge is sacred in Tibetan culture and is said to have a hidden entrance to the spirit world. The area is home to different ethnic groups, with Tibetans in the north, Adi people in the south, and the Bopa people in between. Tibetans believe a goddess's head rests on the Tibetan Plateau, with her body curving around the river, bends, and her feet ending on the Assamese plains. To them, the river is not just sacred, but an embodied goddess. However, China is interested in this place because of its unique geography, making it perfect for a massive hydropower project. The river drops rapidly as it passes through the gorge, curving around the 7.7 kilometers tall Nansha Barwa Mountain in a huge arc known as the Great Bend, and drops more than 2,000 meters in altitude. For comparison, the Grand Canyon is only 1,857 meters at its deepest point, making the Yarlung Tsangpo Gorge 3 times deeper from the river to the mountain peak. This is one of the steepest river descents on the planet. The river starts at over 3,000 meters and within 100 kilometers, it descends to 600 meters. It's a giant natural wonder buried deep in one of the most remote parts of the world. Because it's so hard to reach, scientists are still discovering new species in this region every year. They're finding new mammals through camera traps, which is extraordinary in 2024. China's challenge is to harness the hydropower without harming the biodiversity. This is where they plan to build their super dam. It sounds crazy, but they are determined to figure it out. The Mega Dam. This remote area had no major road until 2013, but the Chinese government sees huge potential for hydropower. They've already developed several upstream facilities like Zhangmu in Jiatsa, but these are small compared to the planned 60 GW super dam. Details are unclear. Either the government hasn't finalized plans, or they are secretive. Two main methods are considered, each with challenges: building a series of dams, which could harm biodiversity, or digging a tunnel from a high to a low point on the river, releasing water near the Indian border. The latter seems more likely. A run-of-the-river system might be the best option, redirecting the river's natural flow without creating a large reservoir. Water would flow through a tunnel in Namcha Barwo Mountain, dropping thousands of meters and passing through multiple power stations. The tunnel could be 40 to 50 km long, producing up to 300 billion cool of electricity per year, compared to the Three Gorges Dam's 100 billion. Despite its smaller visible construction, this project would harness immense natural power, posing significant engineering challenges and potential geopolitical impacts. Earthquakes and landslides. The Yarlung Tsangpo Gorge is prone to massive earthquakes due to the Indo-Tsangpo Suture Zone, where India collided with Asia 50 million years ago. This collision causes significant seismic activity. In 1950, a massive earthquake measuring 8.6 on the Richter scale struck the region, felt as far away as Kolkata, England, and Norway. It killed over 700 people and caused landslides that blocked the river for 8 days, eventually creating a deadly wave. Similar earthquakes have occurred throughout the 20th century. Landslides are also common. In March 2021, a melting glacier caused a blockage visible from satellites. Such events, if they affect a large dam, could lead to catastrophic outcomes and international incidents. Despite the risks, China is serious about the hydro project, as seen in their national plans and statements from officials. The project could produce 300 billion annually, but could disrupt water flow, sediment distribution, and agriculture in downstream India and Bangladesh. India plans to build a 10 GW dam to mitigate these effects, potentially complicating matters for Bangladesh. Geopolitical challenges. This highlights a bigger problem: geopolitics. If one country controls another's water supply, it holds significant power. Water could be used as a strategic weapon by upstream neighbors to influence those downstream. For China and India, this is a major concern. Their relationship is already strained due to border disputes and resource competition. In 2020, tensions led to a clash that killed 20 Indian soldiers. China's super dam might not lead to war, but could strain relations further. As the climate warms, water will become a key strategic resource. China needs renewable energy, but its neighbors also depend on the river. The project's feasibility, cost, and impact on India and Bangladesh are uncertain. China's known for ambitious projects, so they might pull this off. What do you think? Will they succeed? And what will the consequences be? Stay tuned for updates by subscribing.